Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Outdoor Fever. Today we're going to be going over a somewhat older lure, but a very exciting lure and it is a brand new to me top water that a lot of you guys have probably seen, but we're going to show you some very high quality underwater footage, or I guess we'll say on top of water footage, and we're going to go over how I like to use this bait, how I like to throw this bait, as far as rod and that kind of thing, how I like to throw it, as far as setup goes, and we're gonna go over all that. So let's jump right into it and check out how this lure looks first off. This here is the HeadBanger Spitfire. Now that is a really cool looking lure. This is a one of a kind lure. I think it's the only topwater swim bait that I've seen with a bill, as far like a bill like this. So what I've noticed first off is how the action is and how the lure kind of likes to run. So if you watch the the footage of that I've already provided for you guys, you can see that it likes to wobble back and forth, and that's what this bill will do. So this bill will wobble back and forth, and the water that it displaces creates the rest of the body to torque and move really violently and free and like rapidly in the water. So it really kicks the tail and each one of these joints out. So the more water you're able to displace with the bill, the better the lure is going to move, and the better it's going to look to the fish. It's kind of going to look like a side to side, like it's dying, but it's going to look a lot more realistic than say a spook or one of those walk the dog style lures, just because of those joints and the realisticness with the eyes and the gills and the mouth and the fins and everything that it has. It's just more of a realistic walk the dog lure that you don't have to put that walk into. It does it kind of for you, and then the joints make it look even more realistic. So in my opinion, it's probably one of the most realistic looking top waters that you can probably buy on the market right now, and it can be a really fun one to use. So what I noticed when trying to get it to displace more water and trying to get it to move the way it's supposed to, you want to reel it a little bit quicker. So for that, you're going to want a faster gear ratio. So what I'm using here is a 7.5 to 1 13 fishing Inception Sport Z, and that is the reel that I like for this specific type of fishing, like jerk baits or top waters. That's what I like to throw. And the original reason I got it is because it looked really nice paired up with a Guggen green rod. But now I really like the Inception line, the gray and the green reels. There's only one problem with them, and that's that they will decide to kind of stop on the left side of the reel. The mechanism that moves the line back and forth to cause it from not spooling on one side of the reel, that will freeze up, and you have to tighten that screw down in order to get it to not do that. So that's really the only thing I would say about that particularly. But that's my setup: a lighter rod and a quick reel for the HeadBanger Spitfire. Now, I've seen a lot of videos of this lure before, and from my take on it, it looks like a really good lure for pike, as far as where these people are throwing them, and I'm definitely going to give this thing a try this spring for the pike, and I'm hoping that I do well with it. But I'm definitely going to throw it at the smallmouth and the largemouth too. I got a couple lakes that you guys are going to see very shortly. It's the spring is starting to come around, and we're definitely going to start seeing a lot of more of me getting out there fishing on some of these bodies of water in my general direction, and this is going to be a lure on the top of the list that I will be using. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be a very exciting time with all these new lures that I've added to my lineup in the last couple of months. You know, springtime is probably my favorite time of year to try stuff out. You know, the bass are trying to fill up before the spawn, and these are the kind of things that you can catch them on, and it can be really fun because topwater is just probably the most fun way to catch them. You get to see them blow up, the fights, they're jumping more, all that kind of thing. Now, I'm going to tell you some of my concerns that I had with this lure originally, and then when I was using it, throwing it, and I actually casted it and had some follows up north a couple months ago. And this thing, originally what I thought was, because of the way it's designed, I thought you were going to have to automatically reel it or else it would start sinking, because I have a couple other lures like that from 6 Sense and some other companies where if you don't reel this in, it's just going to sink to the bottom and get snagged in weeds and grass and whatever. So I really didn't like the thought of that, but as I casted this thing around, I would pause it and it stays on the top of the water. So another way that you can reel this thing in is really quickly, violently, and then pause it, and it's just going to stop right in its tracks and do one of those 360 or 180 turns and look back at the fish. And that is one of the biggest ways to get a big fish strike, is when it turns on a dime 180, those fish get just really PO'd and they grab that lure more out of spite and anger than actually wanting to eat it. And the curiosity gets them, and then once they see them do that 360 turn, they're just all angry going for that lure. So that's one really good thing and a plus side about this lure compared to other topwater glides that I've seen, and that's why I like this lure, and I'm going to throw it at the pike and the smallies this year. And it's definitely a fun one to throw. It just displaces so much water, and it just looks really good running on the top. And when the bass follow it, you know it because they're kind of trailing it on the top. You can see the fins kind of like a shark chasing it out of the water. So it's a really fun lure, and I'm sure there's other, there's other colors to this lure. This is just the one that I got. I actually got this in a mystery tackle box. So you can pull these in mystery tackle boxes, and I would say that this was definitely a W pickup from that mystery tackle box, and definitely worth what I got from the mystery tackle box. Now, from what I'm looking at and what I've tested out, is there are two different ways you can run this. One is completely better than the other. So you can run it up here on the swivel of the bill, like so, and then you can also run it behind the swivel. Now, behind the swivel isn't as good. The movement is just a lot worse, just not as much, because it kind of locks that lure in place and the bill is just kind of free hanging. So you could do that for more of a dead bait fish look. But I think the best look that you can really get is by tying it on to the front of the bill on that split ring like so. The hooks are incredibly sharp on this lure, and what I like is some glide baits that I've seen, and I hate this about a lot of glide baits, have those 360 hooks. I hate 360 hooks. These have a regular lock-in hook, so that is another upside to this, and so it's just a very good upsided lure. Sharp hooks, and it's not 360, so you're not going to have hooks pull out and you're not going to lose fish. That was kind of my problem with a lot of the other lures that had 360 hooks, is yes, you lose less fish here, but then you end up losing a fish on the back side and your lure's busted and just junk. So that's why it was kind of just a waste in my opinion, and I try to stay away from 360 hooks, so I like how this lure is without those 360 hooks. So yeah, that is the HeadBanger Spitfire here. And I'm going to go over next week a very similar lure made by 6 Sense that I kind of hinted to this time. That is a good lure, good paint job, a little bit more realistic paint job than this. That might be one downside to this. It just looks like a silver bait fish. Realistically, it doesn't matter as much. But that 30%, 15 to 30% of the better paint job, I think can give you a better, at least bite ratio. You might get a few more bites, but this thing is a lot more realistic and has a lot more upside than the 6 Sense one, in my opinion. But we will get into all of that next week. So thank you guys so much for tuning in for yet another lure of the week. We're trying to really get these things out. So if you guys want to keep watching these lure reviews so that I can make the mistakes or the positive interactions with these lures, you guys don't have to. So I will just keep doing that. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button if you like this video. Share it with your friends who are also into fishing and that kind of thing, or that you think would like this video and that are trying to get into fishing. And come back next week for another lure review. This is the HeadBanger Spitfire. I will see you guys next week. Thank you very much.